Everybody, welcome back into the House of L. I'm Derek.
I'm Graham.
Hey, Graham. We
Back
are
again.
only
So
a
soon.
few days removed from the premiere of Lanterns, and I think it's gotten everybody so excited about it, including you and I. We were like, we need to record another episode before the next one airs.
I know. What do they call it? Emergency pods now.
Emergency pod. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, we knew, like, we hadn't seen the trailer when we recorded last, right? So we actually do have new things to talk about.
Right. And then I went back. It made me want to go back and it's been a minute since we've done like spoilers at the end of an episode, you know, like we used to do on Hero for 10th Wonder. And of course we did it on Superman and Lois with Frank and Robin, but I haven't done one since then. And that show's been off the air for a few years now. So I had to, having to recalibrate and think about how to talk about things without spoiling for people who may not be in the know. In the weeks ahead, we will probably most likely do like we used to do if you're a longtime listener of Shoe and put the spoilers after the episode's over with. You should treat this episode, while it is speculation, you should treat this as spoilery. We are talking about things that are in the trailers that we've not seen yet. If you do not want to be spoiled, I would suggest you turn this off now and wait for our episode for 102, which is coming this weekend. But, or at least the Lanterns episode is coming this weekend. And we do want to we tell you that we're going to get into some nitty gritty here with not only the Weeks Ahead trailer, but also the original teaser and the San Diego Comic-Con trailer that released last month. And I think, and you and I talking off screen, the one thing we've had going for us now, we're like, good, we've got a tent pole for the time shift. We know if John has a goatee, we're in 2020. We're in 2026. If he doesn't have a goatee,
it was nice watching the trailer and being like, and seeing some of these scenes, and now knowing what the goatee represents.
Right,
it's like, oh, we're in 2026 if he has the goatee.
Very much,
which is great.
I don't know who on this show is a John Mulaney fan, but it would two references now. We've got the What's New Pussycat jukebox from last week, and now the. And he was wearing a goatee to show that time had changed, that time had passed.
Right. It's not so subtle. We see you, Lanterns writers.
Yes. So I do want to go back. We've got the Weeks Ahead trailer, but I did make me want to go back and watch the other trailers for things we've not seen yet. And
can we, before we jump right into the trailer, can we talk about the fan reaction? Because when we recorded on Sunday, we were kind of in our own little world. We hadn't seen the episode. Nobody, you could think about it as a green bubble. We had seen it, but not the broader public had not seen it yet. And I think that I wasn't expecting the reaction to be this strong. I was expecting the reaction to be positive, but you never know with this kind of thing. You never know with existing IP and people that are fans of something and have been fans of something like this for 30, 40 years, longer than that, obviously. But when something new comes along, there's a tendency to react. And I was kind of shocked that the reaction seems to be overwhelmingly positive.
You know, I think they obviously knew they had something good on their plate. Nothing like me eating off another man's grill. I think they had something good here. We knew there was a season 2 renewal well before season 1 premiered. They gave
as we mentioned, that's a great sign of confidence in the future of a show if it's renewed before the premiere.
We've also got that prestige TV time slot, coveted Sunday HBO that so many, we talked about last week, so many amazing shows, including True Detective, have had that time slot before. So I think there was a lot of belief in that. Not that they haven't believed in other things. I think that just, Peacemaker is really the only other live action series we've had. It was kind of a weird trade-off there anyway, because we were treating season 2 as a reboot, as this is real inside baseball. Because I did you watch season 2? I know you watched season 1. I can't remember if you watched.
I have watched a bit. I'm very behind on Peacemaker, and it's honestly a show that I love. But I have watched most of season 1. I have not yet started season 2. I remember when you were going to do the podcast for season 2, and it being an official sort of DCU thing, officially, the DC Studios thing, officially. At that point, I was interested in catching it, and I know that there were crossovers between Superman.
Obviously, Guy Gardner coming up.
I do need to catch up on that.
briefly, but does retcon the original Justice League of the Ben Affleck, Henry Cavill, those that were supposed to show up.
They reshot a part at the end, and it's all of the new Justice League folks, like Hawk Girl, Guy
Superman,
Gardner,
Supergirl, Hawk Girl, Guy, and Mr. Terrific.
I love
And that does kind of bring up some questions too. It's about Guy's placement in the greater Green Lantern world. So I want to talk about that too. But to your point, yes, fan reaction. Hal Jordan is a very, very beloved DC character. I think most people, if you ask that, if they say they're a Green Lantern fan and you ask them who their favorite Green Lantern is, I think you're going to hear a Hal Jordan more often than you're not. You're going to hear Jessica Cruz, you're going to hear Kyle Rayner, you're going to hear John Stewart. You may hear of some lesser, not Earth ones, but you
I heard that it's also an age thing, like what age you are might determine which Green Lantern you most remember from your childhood.
Well, I think if you grew up watching the Justice League cartoon and Justice League Unlimited, that Cartoon Network, Adult Swim, I think a lot of people jumped on from that following the Batman the Animated Series and Superman the Animated Series, kind of the continuation of those two. John is Green Lantern on that show, and that's where a lot of people got introduced to this character. I guess myself included. I wasn't a huge watcher of that show week to week. I've seen 98% of it. I need to go back and finish it. I'm hosting with Professor Michael Bailey. I'm hosting a 25th anniversary Justice League panel at Dragon Con next month, and I'm like, I probably should. This is a good time for me to
catch up.
Some things that I need to watch. But Hal is so beloved, and following one of my favorite storylines in DC Comics, which is the death and return of Superman in 93, 94, is where I think a lot of people got burnt on Hal because of and again, getting real inside baseball here. This ties into Sinestro and a bunch of other things, but this is where Hal went evil after the death of Return of Superman. And it took a long time for DC fans to forgive and forget that the Parallax War, and
I feel like I'm coming into this so free of all that baggage.
I know, isn't it nice? You're not burdened.
So I'm like, I'm learning about this character, and I feel like I'm so green behind the ears. No pun intended.
No pun intended. Yeah. I was thinking about this, and of course, you've met Sinestro in the trailer, so you know
I've seen
who this character
I've seen him yelling Hal's name,
right,
and we see that again here in the season trailer as well, that we'll talk about in just a second.
Asking if Hal really believes that John is his backup, and Hal says no, he's my replacement. Sinestro is Hal's mentor. In the Green Lanterns, and obviously he goes astray. Hal is actually what reins him in, imprisons him when he becomes a Yellow Lantern. So and there's all kinds of colors for I
have been prepared for the different colors. I know
yellow fear, red anger, hate, orange greed. If you're privy to all that, but Sinestro kind of went, paranoid's not the right word, but he gave in to fear. And I wonder if there's some of those comparisons here with Hal and how he's giving in. He looks a little, I've seen the term schizophrenic used, but just a little paranoid of what is coming down the pipeline.
Well, you
see the shift in his face at the taco stand when there's hell in Rushville, and stuff like that. I'm wondering if they're teeing up a parallel, and again, parallel, no pun intended, but how Sinestro was treated and how people are now looking at Hal.
Yeah, and I think you called this out too in our episode from Sunday, that the 2006 Hal, the consciousness that was uploaded to the ring, the hologram, was very kind of fidgety and nervous and not as confident as the 2016 Hal. But there's also a sense that the 2016 Hal is more grizzled and weathered and jaded, and there's if you go back and watch the hologram and then the rest of that episode, there's a very he's playing the character differently and for
Mhm.
both, and there's a 10-year time span. So what happens in those 10 years?
Between
That
'06 and 16. And
exactly.
I think 2006 Hal is who, and we'll get into that a little bit in this. I think 2006 Hal is the one who got Sinestro
Mhm.
for his crimes. So I think Sinestro's been at this point, depending on what happens in 2016 and forward. I think in 2016 he's still imprisoned. So he, for about 10 years now, a decade that he's been on lockdown. We are going to see 96. No, I'm sorry, not 96. So all these sixes gets confusing to me. 86, he became Green Lantern. 96, he does the 60-minute interview. Okay, 2006 hologram. We're going to
Right,
see
the hologram.
2006 hologram again. Uh,
I'm sure
I,
we
I,
will, yeah.
well, I didn't even notice this. He shows up in the trailers. Um,
See, that's the thing is we gotta pay attention in this trailer what clothing they're wearing,
uh huh.
whether or not he has the gray
John's
hair.
got the goatee.
John's got the
Whether
goatee,
Hal's,
yeah.
yeah.
So
But
we may miss some of this, but because there's a lot happening in this show across
mhm.
3 or 4 different timelines, and but this trailer, I remember when because I watched it, we recorded our episode and then the premiere actually aired,
Mhm.
and I watched it as it aired, which it's been a long time since I've done that on HBO, and so I was watching it as it aired, and then I had totally forgotten there would be a trailer at the end. So
Right.
when the credits finished and it started playing stuff again, I'm like, hey, whoa, what? And then it was not just next week on Lanterns, it's this season on
Yeah, what
Lanterns.
HBO tends to do with the second episode in the weeks
Yeah.
ahead
So
trailer.
the trailer that we're talking about today is going to cover a lot of sort of the entire season. I'm sure holding back lots of things, but
Oh, yeah,
uh,
absolutely, and there's so many misdirects,
I'm sure. And so
too.
it's kind of it's fun to talk about something like this because we were going to be wrong about probably 80% of it. But
You never know.
and I love being
Sometimes we
wrong on
land backward
podcasts.
into
So
being correct.
I know, right?
Um,
Cool.
so this trailer and then the original teaser trailer, there's some stuff here that are in both that we've not seen before, and one of those things, and I want to talk about is Guy Gardner, who did show up in the
Yes.
first trailer and who shows up again. We do know now that when there's a shot in the weeks ahead trailer of 2026 John shining a Green Lantern,
Like a
a light
beacon.
in the sky,
Yeah.
like a bat signal, the Green Lantern signal in the sky to call Guy who does land in Rushville. Now in the original trailer, you're led to believe he's talking to Hal. But that's
Right.
not the case. He's talking to John, and at one point he says they're going to send an army. He says he's going to send an army to put you down, and talking to John, and I think it's John there. We do know he's talking to John in prison. At one point in 2026, John has been locked in jail in Rushville. Guy even says the first time I ever met Hal Jordan, he was in jail. And I wonder if that's the vow that got broken that gets mentioned later on in this trailer. John says the Guardian said you broke a vow, and how whether or not it's at this point whether or not it's referring to this line or not. There's a piece of dialogue after that where Hal says that's above your pay grade, Junior.
Right. And
Um,
clearly there we see also in this trailer there is this meeting between John and a Guardian because
Laura Linney.
it's yeah, Laura Lenny.
Hmm.
And so there's this interview process happening of like, do you think you'll be strong enough? Are you comfortable with replacing Hal? And he says, it's not about whether I'm comfortable with it, that kind of thing. Um so it's
The
like yeah, it almost feels like and in that moment, I don't believe he has the goatee, so that's 2016, correct?
Correct. She even tells him to go get it, go get the ring. Um, so I do think there's a shot where it looks like maybe Hal has handcuffed John to a steering wheel after a car crash or something similar, and Hal gets out and locks him in. He's like, "We need to take you off the playing board." And so it's almost like Hal's going rogue a bit here,
Yeah.
apart from John. And I wonder if that's what leads to John's meeting with the Guardian, played by Laura Linney, and who who ultimately tells him to go after the ring because maybe he is breaking
It
another
does feel
vow.
like there's like an AWOL aspect to this,
Yeah.
like that
Um,
Hal is going off on his own. He doesn't trust the Guardians. There is a bit of that, and I saw some fan theories talking about this, where it's like Hal when we first meet Hal driving up to pick up John after his workout session in the
mhm.
arts district of Los Angeles, he says, "I'm late." Doesn't
Yeah.
that bother you even a little bit? Like
Yeah.
he's trying to instill in John a sort of like skepticism of his authority, and I
Mhm.
think that is and the fact that John still respects his authority kind of annoys him. I think that is Hal trying to impart on John, like, maybe you shouldn't trust your bosses so much. They're not like perfect beings. And like, I heard some fan
Yeah.
theories to that effect.
I think
So
he's
we're
also
already
trying
getting
to
it.
I think he's obviously also trying to push his buttons to see what
Of course.
reaction he
Yeah.
can get out of
Yeah.
him. He's not happy that he's been saddled with a sidekick. In fact, there's a scene in the coming weeks trailer. Actually, I think it's in both trailers where Hal is talking to John out in front of John's home or John's dad's home. I'm not sure which, but the house we see uh, in the opening moments, I believe, of the pilot. And but in 2016, there's that line in when they're in the car and John says we've been training for 8 weeks, so they've known each other 2 months at this point. I believe though that this scene that takes place out in front of John's house, I believe John Senior is there also. He's not seen. But I do think this is Hal and John's first proper introduction that he is going to be in training. And Hal says, "You can have this ring over my fucking body, my dead body." And so I think this is when he first gets the news that he's got a partner, kind of so to speak, that he is training somebody as a replacement or as a backup, rather, quote unquote. Um, and Hal flies off, and John turns to somebody off screen and says, "I think he likes me." I think he's talking to his dad
Okay.
in that sequence. So we now know, that 2 months later that they have been in training at this point. Um, I'm going to briefly jump back. I don't mean to, but I want to touch on the Hal, the guy thing one more time, or briefly before we move forward talking about other stuff, because I do think a lot of people have questions about how Guy Gardner's fitting into all this.
So far,
And
have we only seen scenes with Guy Gardner in 2026?
correct.
Yeah.
Uh, well, in this show at least.
Time wise in this show, yeah, and
Yeah,
time
yeah, yeah, yeah.
wise, this would mean that these scenes take place after the events of Superman.
Superman is said to take place summer 2025. We know we know from timey-wimey. We know from Lanterns that we're in 2016 and that the end scene takes place a decade later. So that's going to lead us to believe 2026. Hal does not have the ring on his finger in the stadium. We see that John is also not wearing the ring. They made, I think, even Lindelof made point of that, or maybe Tom King made.
Yeah, I think it was Monday or one of the showrunners was like at the end of one of these behind the scenes
You could see
featurettes, they
both
were
their
like,
hands.
neither one of them have the ring at
Neither
the end
one
of
of
this
them are
episode.
wearing it.
So that's confirmed.
Yes, and I wonder how long it has been in 2026 since Hal and John have seen one another.
And that
Because I
leaves the
do
door
not
open for Guy Gardner
for
to
Guy.
be the only Green Lantern at this
Yes.
time because he somehow
Because
made off with this ring or has this
because
ring.
I believe what's going to end up happening here is the same is history is going to repeat itself just a little bit. I think we were so captivated by that opening scene with John and his dad, young John, with the apple shooting and all that, and seeing how many other times John had been shot at
Did you
on the
notice that
riddled wall.
the bullet holes go up the
Yeah,
side of the? So he's been doing this since like a very young age,
yeah,
even younger
yeah.
than he is now.
I mean,
So we just
John even
mentioned that there were bullet
says
holes, but it's like if you look, it's a
it's
straight
a height
line
chart.
going all. That's a height chart
It's a
going
makeshift
all the
height
way
chart.
up the side of the garage or
It's
wherever
the
that
most
was.
sadistic height chart ever
That is,
for a
yeah,
child.
that's wild.
I think that I believe that John Senior was approached first before Hal, in '86 or whatever.
That does
Uh,
seem to be the prevailing a
uh-huh.
theory that I'm seeing pop up a lot on
Well, good.
social
I haven't
media.
seen that, so I'm glad to know that I might be on the right track. I think John Senior was approached by first and said he was afraid, and I think the ring
So
went
he,
to
yeah.
Hal, and I think much to the chagrin of John Senior, who sees Hal, that's one reason maybe the kid shouldn't be watching the interview and another reason why, okay, well, he was too afraid, so he's not going to get asked again, but I can train my son up to be fearless and he be asked at some point
So it's like a
the
living
question.
vicariously through your son in that
Hmm.
way. Like you're going to do the thing I couldn't do.
Well, it's very
Yeah.
much the football dad kind of thing,
Yeah.
I'm going to I'm going to raise my son up to be the player that I didn't get to be. uh, that kind of mentality. So I wonder if at some point, and maybe it's a test, maybe it's not, but maybe John doesn't, maybe our John Jr. doesn't know that's why he calls him Junior. Maybe that's why he he gets asked at some point and says yes, and Guy ends up getting the ring.
Interesting. Yeah.
And maybe
Like
John doesn't realize
however
that he's being asked
temporarily. Yeah.
the
Maybe.
question, and it ends up inadvertently going to Guy. I of all the people in the world, I want to know why this guy, why that guy Gardner gets it, but it's
Well,
I,
he's well funded, so
very well funded.
that's
Yes,
one reason why you might be able to curry favor amongst the
yes.
Guardians. I don't know if the
Here's another
Guardians care
question
about
though,
such things, but
and to your point, if he's already got the ring in Superman, that's a year prior. To me, Hal would know that Guy had. I mean, sorry, excuse me, John would know that Guy had the ring because Guy is very uh
public,
public, yes, flashy with it even.
flashy, yes.
And with the jewelry and obviously the corporate sponsorship. Maybe that's why he knows to put the signal in the sky that Guy will come to him if he does that. But it does, obviously he's showing that Hal doesn't have the ring in those final moments. Um, but if we respect the timeline, the gunverse, whatever you want to call it, the DCU timeline as it has been presented to us, then that new shot in Peacemaker that includes um Guy, Hawk Girl, Superman, Supergirl, Mr. Terrific is actually from 2022. Uh so I don't know how finite we are getting with the timeline here. The reboot, so to speak, of season 2 of Peacemaker may shift that time forward to where he's only been a Green Lantern a short time period, but uh, for all intents and purposes, we can assume that Guy has been Green Lantern for at least 1 year at the point
At the least, yeah.
at the point of the end of episode 1 of the pilot. So we'll see more about Guy as we get into it, and hopefully can discern how and when he became a Green Lantern, because clearly John is not by the end of the first episode. He is not in place. And I do think, if all respect to Guy, who I enjoy Fillion's performance as, uh, every time he shows up, and I even saw he's going to be in the Mr. Miracle animated series that's coming as Guy. Uh, if John, if and when, not if, but when John gets this ring, it's going to be a hell yeah air fist moment, pump and sky moment of getting excited for this character. So we shall see.
Well,
Um,
and there's some moments in this trailer that I want to ask you about
okay, let's go
include.
through it. Yeah,
Yeah,
hit
let's
me
go
up with
through it.
what
So
you got.
I'll ask you when we get to them. But if you want to just walk through it,
Yeah,
it's
I
a
mean,
2.5 minute long
it's like
romp through the
2 minute
entire
25.
series.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We open with Hal back in the stadium, presumably the next day. I think the blood is still fresh on the field. It's good to see Kyle Chandler on a football field again. We put that graphic out on the House of L
Multiple
Instagram.
folks on social were like, "You guys," it's like they don't know what they're doing to people out
I
there.
know,
Putting him back on a high school football field.
You killed him on a football field? That's horrendous. I love Friday Night Lights.
There are some feelings amongst
yes,
fans of
that's
Friday
rough.
Night Lights.
That's rough. But it's more of Hal's paranoia, almost, so to speak. His gut feelings. And I wonder of what
if this is actually him in person coming back to the scene, or if it's. Do you know how in the first episode there was that moment when he asked him what he thinks happened, and there was John walking through the scene, even though he wasn't there, and it was sort of like a visual of, like, the fans crowd, rushed the field, and there were people, and they were showing John walking through the scene. I wonder if this is not the same kind of
it could
aesthetic,
be, but
it could be actually him there.
I don't think that's the case. I think he's actually there because he's sitting in the same spot where he's dead.
Yeah, that spot is a significant spot.
Yeah.
So
mark
far
it
in the series.
Strike. Go ahead. For blocking purposes, go ahead and spike that. We see a lot of John in scrubs, which is something we've talked about, and this is after so much of this trailer is centered around the decimation of Rushville.
Yeah, you see,
and I even missed you talked about the shot in the end as John is driving from the pilot, and we see the destroyed ranch, the Macon Ranch.
I don't think it's just the ranch that gets destroyed.
No, I don't either. But
it sure looks like the whole town gets destroyed at some point.
In the first trailer,
trailer.
I missed this, not in the coming weeks trailer, but in the original teaser trailer for the series. You see the destroyed "Study the Past" sign is hanging for Macon Ranch, and it's blown up, and there's a car on fire, and it's not in the snow or anything, so it's something that just happened, obviously.
Yeah.
We see
We're
that,
and see it. Yeah.
We see, these red. I call them missile detection because that's what they look like to me. But those lasers that focus in on a point,
like guidance lasers.
Yes,
yeah.
That they start as multiple beams and then transcend
they get closer
into one
to the target, and then once they
just
sort of
blow up.
Yeah.
And real specific, there's a truck at the motel that gets destroyed that John's looking at. I believe that is in 2016. And then it's also attacking the town.
Yeah, it seems to be randomly attacking buildings throughout the main street of the town. More than likely just indiscriminately destroying the town, I believe.
I mean,
either looking for Hal or John or both of them.
I don't know who...
we see a construct trying to block the beams multiple times throughout the trailer.
And I love, this is another thing I wanted to talk about, and I didn't talk about in the first episode. The way they talk about the ring, it's almost like a service weapon. It's not
exactly. Yeah, it's your sidearm. It's not.
It's your sidearm. It's not this. I know they call it jewelry and everything, but there's even the way Hal uses it in the interrogation scene before he. I'm mimicking, but it's almost like he pulls.
It's almost like he's pulling out a sidearm. Yeah, exactly.
Right. I just love the way that is. I think it's just another little nuance on how this show, is cosmic space cops, but
True Detective Space Cops. Yeah,
we're sending this in Nebraska. So, you mentioned seeing Laura Linney as the Guardian. She shows up again. Obviously, there's that interview scene.
We also get sort of like the thing that kicks this trailer off is we see William Macon talking to Hal again, and it's like there's aliens, dead aliens, and you're still here.
You're here. You linger. Yet you linger.
And yet you're still here. And so there is also at this point in the trailer, he asks about that there is a war criminal, an intergalactic war criminal somewhere in this town, and I think they're talking about Hal. Let's be honest, but
I think they're talking about the Manhunter. I think.
You think?
I think that there's one specific Manhunter that is somehow is hiding out in Rushville for one reason or another, and maybe there were other aliens in hiding in Rushville. Maybe those were other Manhunters that were killed. We don't know, and maybe that was a Manhunter that in the interrogation scene, our trucker. But I
Interesting.
do think
Maybe
there's
they're
at
not
least
talking about Hal.
maybe they're not. They
Yeah.
could be. I don't know. But I think there is one Manhunter, and that's what this has uh,
And we do see a
encapsulated
character
this
that
whole
we
series.
haven't seen before introduced in this trailer. It's this bald-headed man that looks like very scary.
And
Who
wonderful
is he?
character actor, and I've just totally blanked on his name as you
I
said
have
that.
too.
We
But
do know he is playing an extraterrestrial as well.
yeah, and he seems to be on the hunt. There's a scene between him and John where they have John on the ground and they're injecting something into his
Yeah,
neck or
they're
something
given
like that.
48 hours to locate the Manhunter.
Yeah,
And
so they're like,
inject.
it's your job to help us, and I think that this is how John learns about what's going on in this town.
Yeah.
Because he's telling John, or he's telling Hal that, and then they go to William Macon again, and it seems like they confront him, and they're like, there's something you're not telling us. Like you have. You know what's going on. And then we see them looking at some weaponry that may or may not be on the property.
I think it's on the ranch. I think it's.
Yeah,
I think
it is.
they've gotten their way onto the premises, and there's all this. There's a shot too talking about Mr. Bald Extraterrestrial. God, what is his name? I've totally blanked on it. He walks into Macon's office,
and Macon has this like technology,
that same triangular missile guidance thing.
It's like the mini version
locks on him,
and it's on his
it's
desk.
like a mini version of it locks on him. So
and we see that thing again a couple of times in the trailer. It's in this white room that they're all going into. Right. It's also there's one stuck up in the high school stadium somewhere. I think is what we're being led to believe. So it's sort of like this camera / weapon spy system
targeting, identification process, but
it's very
on a larger scale with a militia that is forming to take out aliens. I almost wonder if Macon is not the one that goes crazy and is attacking the town at some point.
Is he the war criminal they're looking for?
I don't know. I don't trust anybody in this family. Especially Kyle Ritter. I love you, Mr. Ritter, but I don't trust you a bit, Billy Macon.
I don't trust the actor specifically. The character.
No, I love the our buddy Kevin. He watched the trailer, the Comic-Con trailer, and he said that's a murderer right there. He even took. We had our review up, and he took our written review for the pilot and changed it out. He says that's a murderer right there, or something. Talking about Ritter's character of Billy, who also I think we touched on the episode, but I'm like, was Garrett Dillahunt 12 when he had?
There's someone did the math, and it's like, oh, this is not the math is not mathing on the
math isn't mathing. I think there's a 16-year age difference there, so sure, I guess, but I was like, that feels pretty close. What happens next with the trailer? I've already forgotten. I've got all my notes, but I've got chicken scratches.
So I think the next sort of like eyebrow raising thing we see after we see them kind of see this weaponry, maybe it's on the ranch, maybe not, is Hal absconding with a body of some sort from a morgue and dragging him. I think it's one of the aliens that was shot potentially, and he's dragging him away back to
is it the body of the one he from the interrogation? I couldn't tell. The hair was
it's
longer.
Not the same guy from the interrogation.
Okay.
It's a different guy, and he seems very like malnourished or like thin and gaunt and pale, and so I don't know if this is one of the victims of the shooting, if this is some other victim of some sort.
I hope it's an alien corpse.
It looks alien. Let's be honest. Like, and then as they're doing this, we hear the voiceover is like, one of the most dangerous beings to ever exist knows it has been found. And so that's sort of like the overshadowing of him grabbing that corpse and dragging him back to the stadium.
But again,
they're not answering a lot of questions with this. We're getting a lot of just open-ended questions.
What better whodunit do you have than a shape-shifting alien that you can't identify? If you've got
here's another fun fan theory. the fact that the dead Hal in 2026 is not Hal
Is
is
not
a
Hal, which
yeah.
that kind of ties into what I was talking about at the beginning of the episode. I think Hal fans have felt screwed so often,
Yeah.
and I mean, a lot of I've seen, and I know ones that are like, come on. Even our buddy Brad was texting me. He was like, that hurt. He's a
Yeah, that's a
huge
gut
Hal
punch, especially after you just fell in love with this new Hal
this
to be
version. I'm
dead by
like,
the end
what?
of the
Two,
episode.
remember, we've got another 10 years here being shown. It's not like Kyle's
Yeah,
off the
exactly.
field.
The rest of the
No,
show has plenty of Kyle Chandler for
yeah,
sure. But the prevailing fan theory from sort of the more diehard folks is that we've seen this before. He's not. That's not Hal. That's got to be
yeah,
a shape shifting
that's
alien
a
or
misdirect.
some sort of another hologram or something like that.
Well, and it sets it up perfectly if you go from a place of, and it's, I mean, it's grizzled, it's the grizzled cop training a new partner. He doesn't like him. Eventually they find common ground and respect one another, and I could see Kyle being relieved of duty, John taking over, which is why he's in Man of Tomorrow as Green Lantern, and moving forward, and Hal getting some sort of happy ending. I feel like I've said Kyle several times here, and I mean Hal when I
You
say
mean Hal?
Kyle.
They
What's
sound
very
kind of the same.
confusing
Yeah.
is I'm not talking about Hal Jordan comic book replacement Kyle Rayner. I'm talking about Kyle Chandler. I'll rein it in and make sure I say Hal, but I think I've said Kyle more often than not because I'm such a Kyle Chandler fan. Um, these shots in the boat of John paddling out in the middle of a storm. He's got a goatee. So 2026,
Yes, that's our
people,
touchstone.
that's a touchstone. I'm very interested in this town hall meeting
Right.
that is happening with Sheriff Carey and I believe Macon at the podium. Well, no, Macon was sitting in the stands, so
Make
I don't
it
know who.
in one shot he's at the podium, and another shot he's like in the front
Okay,
row.
okay, I couldn't
I
tell.
think.
I know somebody up there was in a cowboy hat, but obviously somebody up there was Sheriff Carey. Hal in the back of the room walking in. Are you talking about me? Were you just talking
He's
about
talking
me?
about me. My ears are
He's
burning.
so good, and he's so Hal Jordan too at the same time. And but I absolutely love his performance as this. And I think I'm only gonna wax poetic about him and Aaron both more and more in the weeks to come. Um, what else are we missing from this that we've not touched on heavily?
There
And
are several scenes leading up to a moment like in the desert. It looks like this could be a vision of some
that
sort.
is another planet. You can
Another
tell
planet. Okay, yeah,
there's two other planets in the sky. That is 2006 Hal walking with someone.
it's the same clothing he had
I
in
believe
the
it to be a
house.
Manhunter.
The skull is the manhunter.
Well, no, I believe whoever he's walking with to be a
Okay,
Manhunter.
what do we think this skull is?
I think that's a Manhunter too. I don't know. I'm very
We're about to
interested.
learn a lot
We're
about. I
going to
mean,
learn a lot together.
yeah, I think we're about to learn a lot about the Manhunters in
Yes,
this show.
yes,
It appears to be sort of the driving
yeah.
plot of
And
this.
then too, I want to remind people too, when you hear Manhunter, don't think Martian Manhunter. That's different. I know that can get confusing. That's not John Jones. So don't think that we're hunting John Jones here or something like that on this show. That's not what's happening here. The Manhunters are a different thing from the pages of Green Lantern. Again, there's more than enough places where you could get on board and learn more about those. I know I mentioned Smallville's version in last week's episode. That is the baddie in that the Manhunters are, and that's a good place to learn some history there as well. If you're looking for an easy, if you're listening to us, chances are you watched Smallville or read Smallville, but that gives you a good jumping on point. So just another recommendation for Brian Q. Miller's Lantern right there.
Yeah, I'm
You're
scrolling
good.
through this
I'm
trailer.
remembering what else. There's a shot of a military funeral, and I wonder if that's. I know one episode we're getting here in the first half of the season is a lot of backstory on John Jr. on our John, and I wonder if there is a similar episode that gives a lot of backstory on Hal. And I wonder if that's Hal's dad's funeral that we're seeing, a military style funeral that we're seeing in that shot.
I bet it is.
Obviously, we see more of Sinestro, um, him
In this
yelling out
trailer,
to
it's just
Hal.
him yelling "How?" Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing we
Um,
haven't talked about is these scenes with John going through what looks to be like somebody's closet and holding up the suit.
Hal's closet and holding up Hal's uniform. He's on the phone. I would be willing to bet he's on the phone with his dad. And he's holding up one of the uniforms, which I also love. There's a shot of I think from one of the other trailers of going through the uniforms in the closet, a hand, I believe it's John's hand,
Interesting.
and a couple of them are in like garment dry cleaning bags before getting to the, and maybe they're not, they may not be Lantern uniforms, I don't know, it just looks like a Lantern uniform closet, and there's a couple before he pulls one out that's not, and that's the one he's holding up to himself in the mirror to see how it would look on him. So I'm interested in that as well. We've also got shots of Hal flying, leaving the motel in the suit and flying away, and I wonder if that's something that happens in 2006, if we go to Rushville in 2006 and that's that Hal, or if that is 2016 Hal redonning the suit. I don't know. There's no way to tell.
The way to tell is if there is any gray in his hair, at least in
obviously,
my,
which is hard to tell dark at night.
Yeah, it'll be it's harder to tell in that shot for sure.
In a flying sequence. So feel like,
but yeah,
that's
I think we've
lot of it.
Yeah, nothing else seems to be jumping out as I kind of scroll through here. We end on a shot of John in the street being surrounded by what I think are these militia guys.
The militia. He's holding the lantern.
He's holding the lantern.
I think the lantern is going to get locked up somewhere, and John goes to break it out so he can charge the ring.
Recharge the ring, yeah.
Because if we have not charged the ring by the time whatever happens in the center of town happens, that ring's getting depleted fast.
Well, it's like we see in this trailer
right.
tons of constructs trying to block these lasers slash pulse, whatever's destroying the town. He's trying to block it, and he's having to make these huge constructs, which I imagine deplete the ring very quickly.
Yeah.
And so there's going to be a moment where the ring just kind of dies on him. So
yeah. There's also a red truck driving through the center of town, and there are militia shooting from the truck, and he's got, again, like a service weapon, he's got the ring out and is shooting at the truck.
Yeah, and it's like doing these like pulse waves of the green, trying to, I guess, blocking shots maybe, but that's a super cool shot from what I saw.
Very cool. The more constructs we get into, there's some huge construct in the Comic Con trailer that shows John and Hal very small next to it, and it almost looked like John's constructing it. I'm not 100% positive, but it almost looks like it's something that I wonder if they use it to break into the ranch. Like it's a big, like, destructive crush through a wall kind of thing. There's all these mechanics and moving parts to it, and I wonder what its purpose is. Two, there's also the flying lesson that we haven't touched on, and Hal's telling John just fly, and he tries, but he ends up constructing a bird that comes and lands on his shoulder.
I was thinking about a bird. Yeah, it lands on his shoulder.
Yeah, it lands on his shoulder. What is that? Yeah, so. That's pretty good.
It's like a little, again, you were thinking of willpower, trying to fly like a bird, and then an actual bird popped up. That's pretty great.
I think the best scenes from this series are going to be ones of Kyle and Aaron together as Hal and John, because you just cannot look away from their chemistry. And I was seeing clips from the premiere the other night. We weren't there, but I was watching clips from the premiere the other night, and just seeing the two of them interact off screen.
At one point, Kyle brought out a step stool to take pictures next to Aaron because he's so much shorter than him, and he's like, "Don't take any photos yet." He puts a stool down and stands next to him to be taller than Aaron, and Aaron yanks him off of the of the stool with one arm. So it's like even in like these actors as people. And I think there's a behind the scenes featurette about this too. Their actual off screen chemistry is is awesome as well. And I think that Kyle described it as like, when you're cast on a show together like this, it's almost like a first date when you have your first scenes together. And he said that our first date went really well. So they clearly like each other. He has said multiple times in interviews that their off-screen friendship is bleeding into the show. It's apparent into the show that they are friends in real life, and that sort of energy makes its way onto the show itself.
Yeah. And I'm most excited, obviously, uncovering the whodunit, trying to figure out what's going on here and where we
they
land.
have done a great job of just spinning up threads everywhere.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I honestly, if I even tried to guess where a lot of this is heading, other than like the things we actually see happening in this trailer, like the town getting destroyed, I'm not ready to start piecing those threads together and really understanding what's happening without looking and sounding like a crazy person. But I think that's the fun of this kind of show. And that's just the reason why you and I did the Heroes podcast so many years ago, is like Heroes was very much a mystery box style show in the vein of Lost and other shows. And and here we are again talking about a mystery box show.
Yeah.
And this is a ton of fun to do each week. I don't know if we're going to like have enough content week to week to do 1.5 shows. But this time we did.
There was so much footage in that trailer, so much footage that we hadn't seen in the previous couple of trailers, that it felt good to discuss, and also kind of touch on some more spoilery things that we didn't get into in the episode proper, because we don't want to. A lot of this is speculation. Some of it's knowledge, but we don't want to. We don't want to give anything away that you're not asking for up front. So moving ahead, we will be doing the spoilers at the end of the episode for what we've seen. This was
there'll be like a break.
After the music,
we discuss the trailer after we talk about the episode. For those of you who don't want to watch the trailer, and I get it.
If you're new, this is the way we've done this for 20 years now. So I'm not.
We're old.
I feel like Hal. I'm a little grizzled. I feel a little old.
Podcasters.
Yeah. It's like a tie. So anyway,
this microphone is like a tie.
This microphone's like a tie. You want to make a good impression, but sometimes you feel like an idiot. So we'll be back next time with our coverage for episode 102, which I did not write down, and I've already forgotten the episode title. So we're off to a great start here. But sorry about that.
It'll be a surprise for both of us.
It'll be a surprise. So now a few of the episode titles have already been revealed. We'll get into those spoilers for next time. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for all of you that listened to our first episode. We really appreciate it. You can listen to these wherever you get your podcasts. Please follow us and leave a rating and review. We're on Apple, Spotify, iHeart, wherever. You can also listen via YouTube and watch via YouTube. So we would appreciate you doing that and subscribing to us over there as well. We are on the internet wherever you can find us. Our handle is at SuperHouseOfL, and of course our home on the internet, superhouseofl.com. We want to hear your theories, though. You can go to our website and send an email to us from there, or you can just email us at mail@superhouseofl.com, and we would love to hear what you think and share your thoughts on the show. That's something that was our bread and butter on the 10th Wonder when we were doing the Heroes.
I know I'd love to
podcast.
start sharing fan theories from our audience to our audience. I'm right now just pulling the fan theories from Threads, but yeah, find us on Threads or wherever you are. I'm at Graham Hancock. Send me your thoughts about the show, and I will read them.
Yeah, and Graham's getting into some reading, so if you want to send him a review, some not reviews, some recommendations. That's the word I was looking for.
Please do. I've already ordered Rebirth, so that's on the way. And
Rebirth's good. So that's obviously going to be
a whole bunch of recommendations as well. So
yeah, and that's going to be kind of the reintroduction to Hal after what we were talking about earlier. So that was good saving grace from Jeff Johns for Hal fans on rectifying the situation from after the death and return of Superman. So we'll be back next time. Please find us. Please rate and review us. Please subscribe. And I was trying to think of something clever to say in Brightest Day in Blackest Night. I can't think of anything clever. We'll see you next time.
All right. See you guys.